Suitability has been on my mind a lot lately. I was taking the pup for a walk the other day, and as I passed a home in the neighborhood that was under major renovation, it got me thinking about the concept of design suitability. I've been thinking about it quite a bit, actually. Design suitability could also be interpreted as creatively vibing, right? To be on the same creative plane with an ability to communicate freely and effectively. Any designer or client who has experienced creatively vibing understands that the way things get done when people are sharing that headspace is beyond compare, and it's rarity. When I got back to the house, I found a package leaning against the front door. I don't know about you, but coming home to a package delivery still makes me giddy. It's almost like that. Remember that scene from Pulp Fiction when Uma Thurman comes back from the bathroom to find her food waiting there at the restaurant? And she talks about that feeling. For me, it's kind of like that. It's the same feeling. I love that. So the package was a book. So we have a new book look for you featuring the new book called Contemporary Living by Paul McClean of McClean Design. This book is a love letter to California and California living. This is an extraordinary book that opens with an essay about California and California living and the roots of residential design in the Golden State. Now, you'll hear about some of California architecture pioneers like Koenig, Gehry, Neutra. That leads you through an exploration of McClean's work perched in the hills of Los Angeles. These modern masterworks demonstrate McClean's understanding and respect for the origins of California living, followed by concrete examples of how he deconstructs the core ideas and presents the concepts within completely original works. It's a masterful understanding of how something works and possessing the talent and ability to take those ideas and reimagine them. The original idea of creatively vibing with others, the environment, and past works of long-lost masters provides all the elements for something very special. Contemporary Living by Paul McClean guides you through a visual journey of the architecture, site placement, scale, and material selection. Design books, when done right, are treasures to those who love to look at the work. This one is special for those that not only want to see the work, but to gather an understanding of the philosophical approach taken to the finished residence. Finding the right architect is critical to obtaining the right shelter space for each individual. I believe that method of vibing creatively allows the design to emerge and adapt to the individual. I don't think we talk enough about the people when it comes to design. This monograph makes sure to focus on elemental basics like land, water, light, elevation, and that California ethos, which is inextricably connected to the people who long for the California feel. If you love modern design and contemporary living, that California feel, you should get this book, published by Rizzoli, and you can find a link in the show notes. Brilliant monograph. Paul, well done. Stay on the creative vibing theme for a minute, maybe a little bit longer. This episode of the podcast features a conversation with designer Michelle Murphy of DemiRyan. One of the things that constantly troubles me is the idea that design is a universal concept. It's not. Design is personal. The relationship between client and designer should be personal as well. That doesn't mean you have to be besties. You don't even have to be friends or like each other. Michelle and I talk about a number of things that point to this idea of suitability. That can mean success or failure, of the client-designer relationship. You're going to be hearing much more about this idea of suitability and vibing creatively, starting with the following conversation with DemiRyan's co-founder and principal designer, Michelle Murphy, right after this. I am just incredibly proud of this partnership I've got with Thermosol. They have been presenting partners of Convo by Design going on 5 years now. And there is a certain amount of pride that comes with saying that the show is presented by the company that is the best in the world at what they do. Thermosol engineers the most exceptional smart shower products and steam shower systems worldwide, full stop. And it's for a few reasons. First of all, they were the first company to design and patent the technology here in the United States, dating back to 1958. Thermosol, a US-based manufacturer based in Round Rock, Texas, employs an engineering team that designs, tests, and continuously refines the product. Their quality control team tests every single steam generator before it departs the factory. Who else does that? Nobody that I know of. I have the pleasure of working with some world-class designers and architects who tell me, and if you're in the business, you know this, that the idea of luxury has changed, especially when clients want a spa-like bathroom. Steam is mandatory, or it's just not considered a luxury. And if you want to add steam, you have only one true option, my opinion, and that's Thermosol. Mitch Altman, third generation CEO of this family-owned company of 65 years, continues to innovate in the bathroom and shower space through technological marvels such as intelligent showering systems, sound therapy, aromatherapy, technical interfaces, and so much more. And now Thermosol, the industry leader in steam bath equipment and technology since 1958, as I mentioned, is enhancing its already stellar family of products with the new indoor and outdoor luxury saunas available in 3 designs. The configurations are absolutely amazing, and you should probably go check them out. Indoor and outdoor options. It's amazing. You really do need to check them out. Go to thermosol.com or at Thermosol on the socials. How long? That's a real, you know what? That's a really good question. Nobody ever asks me that.
Oh, okay.
Nobody ever asks me that.
Okay.
How long? Until we're done.
I love that. Okay, I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. When we're done, we're done. And you generally, you know what? For me, these conversations, I would imagine, not being a designer, but I would imagine they're similar to how you approach a project, right? When you're done, you're done. You do the design, you do the work, you get in, you make it happen, you do your edits, you pull what's not necessary, you replace, you judge, you do your thing, you're done. You
Yeah,
know.
I love it. I love it.
Do you know when you're done?
I do know, well, I do know when I'm done unless it's my own house or my own project, because that is for me never ending. I literally gutted my home to the studs and was finished about a year and a half ago. And since then, I've already redone my primary bath. I'm adding a guest house. I am so jealous of all these new wallpapers that are coming out that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put wallpaper in this hallway. I'm gonna lacquer every ceiling in the house. Like, it's just never ending for me in my own space. In other spaces, I know when I'm done, I'm like, okay, we're good to go. Let's pull it together. Pull the trigger, go.
It's funny. And lacquer every ceiling is not a sentence often heard.
It is in the world of DemiRyan.
So I love that. And by the way, it's funny because the moment I started looking at your work, I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so much. You are seriously, Michelle, you are fierce. You
Oh.
are fearless. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you like color.
I love color and I love a little edge and something unexpected. So we're doing, which I also, believe it or not, I can go uber traditional.
What?
Oh, I can't wait because right now we're doing a project. It's about 25,000 square feet. for a former Miss America. We just finished their guest house, which is 5,800 square feet, which is about the size of my house. And it's all French, uber French. And I love, this is why my own house is never finished, because I'm going to do this French house and then I'm going to say, oh, my house should be French.
Yeah, but what's interesting, just out of curiosity.
Mhm.
So I've told this story 1,000 times. So people who are listening to the podcast, I'm not going to tell the story again. I'm really not. I'm sick of it too. Suffice it to say, uh, um, there is always the question about creatives having a signature style. And there's two schools of thought. One being, it's really amazing to have a signature style because that's what you become known for. The other side of that coin is you have a signature style and now you're typecast,
Mhm.
and that's you become a one-trick pony in essence, or at least the perception is that. So you fight against that, and how do you have what I call very through lines, and you have some very, very strong through lines in your work, be it the color, be it a focus of art, be it the creativity in the textiles, that panache and flair, and you are not afraid to throw really strong concepts out there. Has it always been that way for you? And do you worry that you become known exclusively for the strong, vibrant concepts instead of the overall design work?
Yes, I love that question. And 100%, I think that's accurate. I think that in my earlier phase of career, um, I still had this edge. I was still very colorful and with my design, but I had so much variety when I started in Manhattan with my business that I was still doing traditional, I was transitional, I was edgy and rock and roll and colorful. I had so much variety with my work. And then in moving to the South, I think I stood out because I was so bold and so colorful with my design. So people were wanting me for that. So it was feeling like you're saying, like a little bit repetitive for me. So then when I do get someone, and we do homes all over the country, but people in different spaces are hiring me because they saw our work that is bold and colorful and they're wanting that. So when I get something like a repeat client who's like, well, now we're moving and we're building a new home and it's going to be there. And I know them, they just want this French castle chateau. I'm so excited to do that because for me, it's going to show the people who don't know my past work the just everything that we can do and the scale of work that we do, as well as the different types of work and what we're capable of doing. And I'm sure I'll throw a little edge in there somewhere secretly where they won't know, like there'll be lacquered ceilings. There'll be some kind of animal print somewhere, mixed with the damask, who knows? So it'll still have my edge, my style, but it'll be very French and very traditional, lots of layers, bringing in like organic and patterns and just super yummy.
Do you, super yummy quote of the
Super
day.
yummy.
Do you silly? It's a silly question, but I'm curious. Do you worry that your through lines and the work that the color, the patterns, that it becomes something that, I mean, look, let's be honest, when it comes to design, it's so personal, right?
Yes.
That when someone sees a strong idea,
Mhm.
that they fear, well, that's not me. And I mean, look, your ethos is your home is your reflection. And
Yeah.
I imagine that you have no trouble explaining that ethos to
Mhm.
clients. But do you worry? And by the way, to me, this is like asking a fine artist who, a Pollock or a Picasso or someone
Yeah.
who
Love
has a very vibrant style. Do you worry about not being able to create realism? They'd be like, no. But I'm curious for you because you have to serve a different type of client.
Mhm. No, I think exactly what you're saying. I know that we can pull it off. I know that I can pull it off. I love finding each client's own individual style, which there's not really one client who's like, hey, I'm straight up traditional. There's no way they're just traditional. There's a million different styles layered in that traditional to get their one unique style. And that's where we kind of came up with your home is your reflection. So what I love to do, I mean, I'm Sicilian, I'm a talker. I love to get to know my clients and see like, okay, what is under that traditionalism? Like, what else can I pull out and pop out in their design? And then now, like, we're doing a project right now where our clients are so nervous and they're like, but this is why we wanted you. We want you to take us out of that box, Michelle. We want you to take us out of what we're used to seeing, like that. I don't want to like that store box brand almost look. And I just keep telling them, trust the process, trust the process. And I have such confidence that it's going to be fantastic at the end. They're going to love it because I can see their layers and what's underneath their style and what they're wanting. So I think it's just reiterating the mantra to the client of trust the process.
So you get a lot of attention in 22, named Rising Star of Design. You get a lot of attention in 23, named HGTV or runner up, I guess, finalist for
Finalist.
for
Mhm.
HGTV's 2023 Designer of the Year award. What does that do for you professionally?
Um, I think professionally, it just validates for us the work that we're doing. And I mean, it just is such an honor for me to go back. Like the Rising Star was amazing because I went back to where I started in New York as an intern right out of art school, working for a designer in Manhattan, stuffing envelopes in her 500 square foot apartment. And then because again, I talk a lot, getting into the HGTV show house for Madam CJ Walker, right place, right time, talk a lot. And boom, I'm there with all these top designers in Manhattan. So going back to New York to get that award for me was just like completely full circle and like so amazing and so wonderful. And then the same thing, the segue to HGTV, which is also where my career started, was just really for me just a beautiful like scene of the past 15, 20 years for myself and my career.
Did it turn into business? Did it turn into new clients?
No, probably not. So we don't advertise. I run my business structure a little differently. My dad was an entrepreneur and he was very hesitant for me to go to art school. So he had me do 2 years of business prior to going to art school, which at the time I was like, oh, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so brilliant. I'm so thankful that he did that because I love to geek out and talk business all day long about design and how designers can improve their business, how just different tranches of design and how you can make it a professional business without actually doing the design. But then I'm also a complete design nerd who loves to sit there and do the work and the creativity. So for me, I'm just thankful that I had the business background already and then not bringing us that the new clientele, I don't think, maybe, but I don't think it did. I think it's more, we're a word of mouth company who doesn't advertise and we only promote it a short amount of time on Instagram, I think.
So I'm going to challenge you on something.
Okay, I love that.
So my background is in broadcast. I was
Uh-huh.
in radio, and I was in radio for decades.
Yep.
And um, uh, let me preface this by saying I believe in advertising. I
Okay.
do. I believe in
Okay.
it.
I
I
love
I I think that the vast majority
that.
of people who advertise do it incorrectly.
Oh, I love this. Okay.
And that's why I don't know. I don't remember who the quote was from, but half of your advertising is working. We just don't know which half, right?
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
because it's become so challenging and difficult. Do you advertise in the trade pubs? Well, they've cut circulation.
Mhm.
They've cut pages. The ad to edit ratio is too big.
Mhm.
They've cut their contributors. It's not the same product. You look at an AD, and by the way, for those that love AD, I'm there. I'm right there with you. I love
Same,
AD too.
same.
I love AD. I love what AD used to be.
I agree.
I'm not a fan of what they are now.
Yeah.
They're People magazine. They're the E Network. All they do is celebrities. We don't live like celebrities. I don't live like a celebrity. If
Right.
if you look through my house, I don't. My house doesn't look like Travis Barker's house. It just doesn't.
Right. Right.
But that being said, I believe that everything we do, if you're on Instagram,
Mhm.
you're advertising. If you're on Instagram, you're a publisher.
Mhm.
You are publishing a narrative, you're publishing a story, and that is what advertising is. So you may not do traditional paid,
Mhm.
but you are advertising.
I agree. So I agree with that 100%. And for me, we don't run our own social. Our interns, we let our interns come in who are UNC journalism, PR majors.
That's smart. That's really smart.
It's great for them. It's great for us. They build me a calendar, a month calendar. They show me, it looks great. So that is, you're 100% correct. That is our advertising. Um, and then I think the rest of it for us is like, we're building, again, I'm just going back to, I talk a lot. We're building these relationships with our clients that are these lifelong relationships. And because of the business model that we came out with, from the gate, like this is our ideal client, this is all we're going to do. Our clients are our clients for life. And most of our clients we've done like 6, 7, 8 houses for. Because they're athletes, professional athletes that are moving and traded all over the country. They're CEOs that are also moving all over the country. They finish one house and then they're like, oh, I decided I want to move here. And now we're doing this house. So I do think like having that business background and that business model helped us to be very careful with, I shouldn't say not advertising, but where those advertising dollars are going. And to stay relevant, you have to be on social media. I just found out from one of the interns, I guess I need to be on LinkedIn. That's a thing right now. I had no idea.
Yeah,
So,
no, 100%. I think it's interesting too. Um, it's interesting too that when it comes to athletes, oh my gosh, what a remarkable client base.
oh,
If you can
fantastic.
get them, and in many cases they're very difficult and challenging to work with. It's like, yeah, I want the 4,000-gallon shark tank in the living room. It's like, no, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. But but with that, when they're traded, they move to a whole new team and they're talking to all these other guys. It's like, hey, who's your designer? Oh, I got a great designer. You're going to love it. It's great, right?
It's wonderful. It's really like we are so thankful for that. And just, it always happens like that, the word of mouth for us. I know there's one street in particular I can think of that are all estate homes. We did 8 homes on that one street. And I literally was like, when can I get off this street? This is insane. Like, and like we are so like, because of our design and our style, like we never want to repeat anything. So we have like all our books that we write initials on. So we know like in our fabric books, like this was, if you see an initial, you know it was used at some point. So we won't use it again. And then when we were on that street, we just had to be so like smart with our design. So it still felt like us, it felt like the client, but they were all completely different. And most of these homes, I want to say, had the same floor plan, I feel like. So it was really a challenge, but it is that word of mouth and you get passed around.
You, you know
For
what's
sure.
interesting? It's really interesting because you talk about that, and even though they're luxury homes, right? They could be 5,000 square foot, 7,000 square foot homes, but they were still built as a development. And it's really
Exactly.
interesting because that is something that I think is so uniquely American
It is 100%.
in our design and architecture. Um, you have back to World War II
Mhm.
when all these GIs are coming back to in country back to the States, and there's not enough housing stock. So we go on this massive building infrastructure experiment where we're just building all of these housing units. And it's funny because I lived in one in Manhattan Beach, which is home for me. We lived in a beach bungalow that was built in the 1950s, and it was built for TRW engineers. So all these engineers are coming in for the defense industry to the South Bay in California, and there's no housing, so they start building these. It's cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
which is really interesting. And that's, then the Sears catalog comes out and labels the master suite, and they're selling homes in a Sears catalog, which is just insane if you think about it. This huge investment. So now we still do that.
Yeah, there's a huge, I don't know if you've seen, like, it keeps popping up on my feed. There's all these little houses now, not the tiny houses, but they're taking it a step more, like these guest houses, because again, like you have these developments that are custom home, but they're really not. And then you have these builders that are doing custom homes where we'll do the design for our client that is our client's design. And then those builders are taking that and replicating our design from our client's custom home as their model homes. So there is this whole like, okay, then I feel awful because I'm like, these clients paid for a custom home, but now there's like 5 of them in their neighborhood. Now, the other, right? But the other clients where the builder just kept cranking out that house on the street I was speaking about, these were 10,000 square foot houses. And their floor plans were essentially the same, and that supposedly was custom. So for us, we had to come in, which I love a challenge. Like I love a tight time frame. I love a challenge. I love when I have an athlete who's like, okay, we're on break for 2 weeks. Here's my 8,000 square foot house. When I get back, I need it completely furnished. I love things like that. Like that, my team hates it. They're going to hate that I'm even saying that, but I thrive in chaos. And after doing it for so many years, you need something that is going to be a challenge to you so that you feel like it's fresh and it's exciting and it gets the juices flowing. And I sit on the floor and I'm throwing fabrics and I'm making scheme. Like I love that. There's nothing better than that. So I loved having those 8 houses with the same floor plan and making them all feel different. Like that's amazing to me.
And it's funny too, because I'm a big believer in suitability.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an investor,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a suitable portfolio for your level of tolerance for risk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like suitability is something that is a consistent in our lives that most people completely ignore.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because when it comes to design, you will have clients who will look at a designer's work and say, they're the designer for me. It's like, you don't know that they're the designer for you. You have to talk to them.
Right.
Like you thrive on chaos. And that is remarkable because most creatives will tell you, I need tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
I need peace. I need time to work. It's like, no, throw it against the wall. Let's figure it out. Let's chop it up. Let's get to the bottom of it. And regardless of all the noise, that's why you must love show houses.
I love show houses. I love staying there until 3 a.m. doing what I need to do. Like, I mean, that it was that first show house that I did when I was so like fresh out of school. I think that really taught me you go all in. Like you just do it and you go all in. And everyone I train on my team, when you get an email in your inbox, you have to reply within 24 hours, or that's unacceptable to me. I don't like how a lot of designers make their clients wait for them and because they are creatives, which I understand. My mother was a creative. So I get that from her. I get the business side from my father, but I work fast. I'm quick paced and my team has to keep up with that. And that's the level of what our clients are used to now. So I tell them after hours, they don't have to pick up the phone unless something's burning down. But if something's burning down, you need to pick up the phone. So you can't wait until business hours.
It's interesting too, just picking up on something you had said earlier, which I think is amazing. And it's so nuanced, but it's really, really smart when it comes to your social media. You don't bring in design interns to do that. You bring in journalism interns to do that. That is so, so smart. How did you learn? How did you pick up on that?
So I think, again, I told you I can absolutely geek out on business. For me, that's a business decision, right? Like as I'm building my business model, my business plan, when I moved from Manhattan to the South, okay, how am I going to grow my business? What am I going to do? I was so like, I was known in Manhattan, and now I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where no one knows me. I come here right after 9/11. My husband was on Wall Street, so we moved here because my brother's on staff at Duke Medical. And I'm like drawing, I'm actually doing painting myself of floor coverings for clients that are roosters and damask. And I'm like, what is happening right now? I did rock and rollers in Manhattan. What's going on? But based on my business plan, I knew like there's that whole PR side of design, which I love, that I feel like so many designers don't know about. So in and knowing how important that is, and in knowing that, that's what drove me to say, okay, for my socials, I'm gonna get these PR majors at UNC, which is 2 minutes from my house, School of Journalism. They know what they're doing much more than I know. I'm like, what am I, like a 45-year-old woman? Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. They're going to listen to these girls know what to do. And the girls will come in and they'll say, hey, we need you to do this dance, or we need you to do this or that. And my team's always like, great, let's do it. Okay, let's have fun. Like we want to have fun with our social because we have fun in the office. And we are not like a typical stuffy design firm. We're very laid back. We're very approachable because again, it's going back to what we spoke of earlier, is seeing all the layers to our clients and letting them being transparent so they can see those layers in us as well.
You are listening to my conversation with DemiRyan's Michelle Murphy, and we're creatively vibing, and we're going to continue to do so right after this. As a busy professional designer, you know how important it is to find the right partnerships. Partnerships that allow you to specify the right products for every project. Professionals like you don't just have time to sit around and waste, right? So let me tell you about one of my partnerships. Pacific Sales is here to serve you with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commissioned professionals to help you specify the right product for all your projects. Non-commissioned. That means their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that, with over 60 years of service in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. And you will find all your favorite brands, like Monogram, and their commitment to providing exceptional products, starting with materials. Monogram sources commercial-grade stainless steel on their refrigerators, unscratchable sapphire glass on their cooktop knobs, durable marine-grade bearings on their dishwasher racks. Monogram takes inspiration from the leading-edge materials used in the high-end automotive and aeronautics industry to provide you with lasting beauty and exceptional quality. The beauty is backed by the same level of attention to performance, which is why Monogram appliances are trusted and sought after by chefs all over the country. Chain-driven French oven doors that can be opened with one hand, and an industry-exclusive hearth oven that allows for all-electric indoor brick oven-style cooking without the need for external ventilation. These are just a few of the things that make Monogram so special. Pacific Sales features Monogram appliances, and Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team is here to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. And here's the cherry on top: access. Access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands like Monogram. Visit a Pacific Sales showroom today to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, where excellence meets expertise. The absolute best specifying designers, architects, and landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You just have to be. And you have to because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That is one of the reasons why I am so incredibly proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on three priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. One, the aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. Two, durability and maintenance. I've told you my board flipping stories about my own wood decks over the years. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease of use and they want it to last for decades. Three, sustainably made. Clients are more conscious about the environment and they want the same of their materials and the companies that manufacture their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood. Color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior. It's been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled materials. 85% recycled materials. Their advanced PVC vintage and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech. You can also check them out directly, timbertech.com. You know what's funny? You know what's really interesting? So your mom, who's a creative, your dad, who's in business, an entrepreneur, you went to Moore College.
Yep.
Traditionally started for women.
Yes.
For design,
Mm.
which is really cool. I'm curious if you had to put a number on it, a percentage of what you do today that is a direct reflection of what you learned at design school. What percentage?
That's valid. I would say color theory.
That's it.
I feel like that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy.
It's funny. It's really interesting to me. I have a degree in social science. Ask me what that means.
Right.
I probably couldn't tell you.
Right.
From Washington State University, and I would venture to guess that, and I have a degree in journalism as well. The degree in journalism enhanced my abilities as a writer. Full stop. I agree with that. I have a son who's at an engineering school. That's necessary. That's necessary. I think architecture, yeah, our architects should be trained, right? Interior design, it's one of these industries, and I'm not knocking design school by any stretch, because I think there's value there. But there's only so much color theory, CAD and sketch, drafting and art history that you can really use in a design practice. They don't teach you media relations. They don't teach you specification. They don't teach you how to shop. They don't teach you the marketing side. They don't teach you how to get new business. How many designers are out there that come out of school with no clue?
100%. Yep.
So your choice. So you went to school. You've got a creative mother, entrepreneurial father, so you've got a base of knowledge. You come out of college, and then you go work for someone else, stuffing envelopes in an apartment.
Yes.
Which is, you're learning on the fly, and I think there's value to that.
I don't. So I'm going to tell you why. The internship to me, which is why we always try and have 2 to 3 interns at a time. The internship for me, I think I was so disserviced by stuffing envelopes for this designer in her apartment.
Oh, wait, is that all you did?
That's all I did.
Oh, that's awful.
It was awful. It was awful. So now I pride myself into our interns. We train so they can do everything. They can help build the binders. They understand why we're choosing the things we're choosing. And that's why we let because we have some of these girls which I love, that are the social media PR marketing majors also have that creative side. They're hand in hand, right? They're both creative things. So those girls are like, do we want to go business or do we want to do design? And they'll sit with me, they'll see what we do. And then they're like, maybe I want to do design. Maybe I do want to do this, or maybe I want to do something else. So we really try and teach them, because I didn't get that. I think where I really grew and learned after I did that internship, I took a job as a director in an art gallery because that's what I knew. That's what my mother did. That's what I knew. That was comfortable for me. So I did that. And that's where then I was right place, right time, met some designers from London who wanted to borrow some art for a show house for HGTV. When I dropped my artwork off, I met with the woman who was running the show house. And next thing you know, I'm doing a room in the show house. Straight out, like right there, within like, I'd say the first 9 to 12 months of being out of school. So that was huge for me. In doing that show house, that's where I was like, you need to figure out what you're doing, because it's sink or swim right now. You are in this show house where Vanessa Williams is the celebrity chair, and you're with all these amazing designers who know what they're doing, who all were so wonderful and welcoming to like this young, fresh kid, that I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be okay. So really there was a lot of like self-educating there at that time that is so essential in how I learned to build my business. And then again, just that whole talkative, chatty thing comes into play.
See, that's really interesting, because I thought when you had said stuffing envelopes for a designer, I envisioned. See, it's funny because I think that interns, especially now with this generation that's entering the workforce, should have to do the bullshit work for a
Yes,
little while.
I agree. I agree.
You should have to, because you know what? That's what when your name is on the door, when you hang your shingle,
Mhm.
that's the stuff that you're doing, Michelle, that you're doing at midnight on a Friday night, because it has to get done and there's
Yep.
nobody else to do it, and nothing's on fire. So
Yep.
nobody's answering the phone.
Yep. Yeah.
I years ago, the first time I spoke with Bunny Williams, she told me this story about how she interned for Sister Parish and Parish Hadley, and how Sister Parish loved chaos, and how Bunny learned at the time that that is not something that she wanted.
Right.
But it was a great internship because she got hands on and she got to learn. Then she goes and hangs, her shingle and starts her business. An internship becomes so important that her legacy now, her CEO of the company is a former intern of hers.
I
You
love
you
that.
you look at her interns over the year, it's a who's who. Years ago, Genevieve Trousdale, who's a designer in Southern California, I put a panel together, produced a panel at the West Edge Design Fair with her, Timothy Corrigan, and Michael Berman,
Hmm.
two individuals for whom she had interned.
That.
And both of them had based on stage or explaining how she, as an intern, changed their business structure.
Mhm.
And I don't feel like that's really prevalent anymore. I don't feel like I don't know if it's generational, where young kids are coming in like, I go to this prestigious college of design, I'm not going to do that. You
Okay,
know
I
what I
have a
mean?
story. Yes, I love that this is what you're saying. So one of the other reasons why we switched from having design interns to PR is not only because the PR was more helpful to us, but also because Meredith is a great school down here for interior design. And we had an intern from there. We had just designed one of the first like more modern houses in the South. Meredith was bringing their design students through this house that we designed to view it, which huge honor for us. The the woman that we chose from Meredith to be our intern, we had her doing binders for us, which is placing the selections, all the selections, throwing it in there. So to me, they're learning as they're building that binder because they're understanding, why did Michelle put this light with this carpeting? Why is this fabric there? How is she layering the fabrics? She came in and said to one of the girls in the office, why does she have me doing binders? I've won awards in my school. This is so beneath me. And when Liz came
She
in,
said that?
she said that to Liz, who was my right hand. When Liz came in and told me, I was like, I need you to turn around, go back out there and tell her we do not need her on the team any longer. We have not only taught her by building that binder why things are working in this house, but we've let her sit in on client meetings weekly, bi-weekly meetings with the PMs and the builders. Like, but for her in that generation, it was so beneath her to do that work, like filing fabrics, filing wallpaper, building binders. That was just beneath her, which to me is hysterical because the intern and me stuffing envelopes would have killed to build a binder and learn anything from this woman who I was so excited. I was moving from Philly to Manhattan, which I had no idea how expensive things were in Manhattan at the time, because Philly was still affordable back then. In Manhattan, I was like, thank God my boyfriend lived there with his father, who was never home and had space for me to stay with them, because this woman, I don't even think it was a paid internship with her. I think it was free experience only.
No
And
kidding.
yes, yes, yes. I mean,
Well, and it's interesting. It's interesting too, because one of the stories that Genevieve told about working with Timothy Corrigan was that when she came in, she built what they call the Bible now. Both he and Michael call the Bible, which is basically a policy binder. Like, here's how the business runs.
exactly. Yep, we have that too.
Interns don't get a chance to do that, and nowadays. And by the way, this is not me bitching and complaining about, oh, those young people, get off my lawn. That's not what this is about. This is about business is hard.
Business
And
is
that is a fundamental part of the business. When your name is on the door, you're having difficult conversations with clients that interns would just, they would recoil at some of the conversations you have to have. But it's also a gift to have an internship or an opportunity to do something. And I think there's almost this perceived like there's no value in it.
I agree. I think switching from the design intern to the journalism interns was such a turning point for us.
Yeah.
Because these girls, and I will say, touch wood, for the past like 4 years, 4 or 5, we probably made that turn right before COVID. These girls have all been unbelievable and amazing. One of them, her mother was a designer, well-known designer out of Richmond. She started with us and was like, I don't want to be a designer. My mom's a designer. I grew up with design, blah, 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 blah. Which now I keep telling her she now thinks she wants to be a designer. I think her and her mom should have their own show on HGTV. They're so adorable. They're so cute. The world would love them. But she stayed with us for 3 years because she was learning things from us that she necessarily didn't want to hear or listen to from her mom, probably because it's your mom, right?
That's hilarious. And are all your internships paid?
Yes,
Are they in person?
they are.
And when they get there, do you have a curriculum, or is it, here's how we go?
So they sit with myself and HR, and we say we have everyone on our team has to sign an NDA just because of those celebrity clients that we're doing, or we've had clients that are CEOs that there's original Michelangelos in their homes. You cannot take a picture of yourself in front of that painting.
No.
There's no, so we have a whole meeting with them with our Bible where they sign their NDA, they fill out their paperwork, and we explain to them, this is what we expect of you. You're being paid. This is a real job. You need to show up on time. There's a calendar. If you need a day off, you need to request it because we're teaching you. You're learning. That's what an internship is. And if we see someone abuse that we did have one girl last year who she overslept. Both of the other interns tried to wake her up and she did not answer her door. She was 2 hours late her first day. And then she was texting us, telling us, I'm going to come in on these days. And we were like, you're not a good fit for us any longer.
Suitability.
Right. Yes. You're not a good fit for us any longer. We need someone who is excited to come in on our terms, not delegating the terms to us.
Right.
So that's, but I think all of our interns recently have been so phenomenal when they do leave, and they'll leave if they're doing a study abroad session. It's so sad because we love them. They're all little rock stars.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's awesome. One of the things that I absolutely love to do, and I've been so excited to do this with you, is I, I like to go through the portfolio a little bit
Okay.
and just pick out some projects.
Or pick on. I'm
or
good
pick
with
on, whatever. And I'll be honest with you, I'm having a little bit of trouble deciding where I want to go first.
Ooh, okay.
Just because I've got so many choices, and it's just so that being said, for those of you who are listening at home, per usual, go to the show notes, click on the DemiRyan.com website. There's a link to it, to the portfolio page, and you can follow along. So Brinley's Cove Home.
Mm-hmm. I love Brinley's.
Tell me about this project.
Okay, so this is for one of my professional athletes. This was my second home for them within, I'd say, a 2.5-year span. So their first home, we probably finished 2 years prior to them saying, okay, guess what? We have a new home. That this actually was their home and they couldn't stand it. They hated the home. They just didn't feel comfortable in it. So they bought a new home. And then we did the new home for them. It was a new construction. And then they were like, we really miss the location of Brinley's. So I was like, well, give me some time in Brinley's and I can bring you back. And they said, okay, can you do it within 2 months? And I said, sure, because again, I love thriving in chaos. And they said, 0 parameters, except they said, we have this green couch we want to use. And I said, okay, no problem. And they said, do your thing. So we went in, we gutted the house, and this woman is a creative. The wife is a creative. She's one of the most amazing photographers that I've ever seen. She has these 3 beautiful children who are all also creative. And I knew, like, I wanted my color. She allows me to do pops of pink, and her husband is so comfortable with himself. He always lets us do pops of pink. I'm doing another house for them. I literally just finished one house for them, and I'm about to do a lake house for them that we're wrapping at the end of this month. So, which I have pinks in it again. So I love that he lets me do, and I'm doing yellows in the new one. So I love it. So I knew I wanted something colorful to reflect her personality and her creativity, but then he loves like that black and white masculine room. The front room with the green couch is where you can't see in the photos. We had built-in wine fridges, and that's where they drank their wine, because he also was a part owner of a vineyard. So wine was important to them at the time. And then each of the daughters' rooms, I think, reflected their creativity. And then their son also plays hockey. The father is a hockey player. So in his room, he idolized all those hockey players. That was his list. And what I did was I took their images and turned them into these creative portraits and hanging. I want to say, I think we had 70 portraits that I hung in lines to create that wall for his bed. Was so challenging to get them to all line up. It was a nightmare.
I imagine it was.
It was a nightmare.
That is crazy. Okay, so a couple of things. Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
And elaborate on a couple of spaces?
Sure. Would love
One, the front room with that green sofa, I can see where they wanted to keep it It's this deep, rich, plush emerald, gorgeous.
Velvet. Hmm.
Is it velvet?
It is velvet.
Love it. The wall treatment,
Yes.
whose idea was that? That is so cool.
So yeah, that was our idea, my idea. I wanted something that was more dimensional on the wall that wouldn't distract from. So my dad, again, the entrepreneur, was known for, he owned bars and liquor stores, but he was known for his wine collection that he sold. So when they tell me, oh, I want to drink wine in this room, I have this whole image of my in my head of sophistication, but relaxation. So I knew my backdrop for that sofa needed to be as dramatic as the sofa, but I didn't want it distracting for my eye when I was sitting there drinking my wine. So the wine would really stand out in the space as the focal point. So I did that geometric wall pattern. So, and I made it tonal so it would fade away, but it was bold enough that it could hold up to the sofa's color. And then everything else, I just flushed out in neutrals in the space.
I really do love that. Next thing I wanted to ask you about the art room with Dolly on the back.
Yes.
First of all,
Cool.
badass. Holy
Did you see
cow.
the floor? The floor is
Wait,
all.
wait, 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 wait. Don't get
Okay.
ahead of me.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of me.
Okay.
Please. I'm taking this all in.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, it's not a large space.
No,
Second of all, it's not overfurnished.
it is not.
Yet it is complete in the way it looks. The wallpaper.
It's not wallpaper, it's paint.
What is that?
I had one of the girls on my team is an amazing artist. I was like,
Ah,
Katie, I need you to go in there and tag these walls. I was like, tag them with love. And we picked our color palette and she went in there and she painted the walls. And then once my walls were done, I was like, well, what am I going to do with the floor?
nope, don't get there. Nope, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
I want to take this. I want to take this all in.
Take it in because there's even little details in there that, so Dolly was her nickname, the daughter, she's an artist. And I was like, if I was her age, and I want to say she was probably about 9 or 10 at the time, maybe 8. But this was my space that I wanted as a child to be creative. All of us on the team were like, we want to live here in this space and be creative. So the walls are just lined with paints, like every type of paint you can imagine, oil, acrylic, puff paint, fabric paint, everything. There's everything she needs in there to be creative. And even there's a piece of artwork, one of my good friends who's an artist who specializes in glitter art, I took a picture of Dolly that her mom took, and I had Kelly glitter it, and that's what's on the wall. So I knew on the wall it was going to be the artwork, the picture of Dolly, and then the Dolly sign for her nickname. So when she walked in, she knew that space was hers.
And I just want to point out too that it is a singularly focused space for creation, and
Yeah.
you have designed it as such, and to the point where you have the materials, you have the paints, the glues, the art materials. Those are those IKEA shelves.
They are.
Yeah, yeah. No, seriously, Michelle, I love that. I love that because it looks elegant. It's purely functional. Okay, now
Now the floor, finally.
that floor, is that epoxy?
So yes, I wanted a glitter floor, a hot pink glitter floor. So I was like, how are we going to do it? Because again, I thrive in chaos. Everyone on my team went to a Michael's or an AC Moore and bought every single pink glitter packet that was in the triangle area. And we threw it into a bucket with epoxy. And my painters were like, we've not done this before. I was like, it's going to be great. Don't worry about it. And we threw it down, and it is so phenomenal. There is no image that can capture like the beauty and the shine coming off of that floor.
No, and it does a couple of other things too.
The depth.
Yeah, it's the depth. I mean, it's like a pink pool.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's a pink pool. And what it's doing is it's also reflecting up.
Yeah.
to the artwork that's on the wall.
Hmm.
Michelle, I love that. I just think that
Oh, thank you.
that is so extraordinary.
Thank
Uh,
you. I appreciate that.
the last thing I wanted to ask you about before we move on is that is that just a shed in the backyard with the barn door?
That was their shed. And the homeowner was like, I don't know what to do with the shed. You can take it down, do whatever you want. And I was like, well, there's a sauna. I brought in a sauna that I put next to it. And I said, do you mind if I just redo the shed and make it more of a kid's hang space? And she was like, I actually love that idea. Go ahead. I was like, great. So I brought in the barn door and some of the furniture, and we added some twinkle lights, and the kids had their own little she shed outside then.
That is so awesome. That's amazing.
Thank you.
How fun was this project for you?
So fun. Like, again, the fact that I love this family, and what they do is they just say, here's our budget, do what you want, make it happen. And they're so amazing. I remember the kids, she videotaped the kids coming in when they don't bother us the whole time we're working because they want the surprise. And the kids were just in awe. They were like on the phone, like, thank you, Miss Michelle. Thank you, Miss Michelle. Like, they're the best family. Like, I love them. Like, I'm so excited that we're doing their lake house right now because I can't wait for their kids' reactions because they're so fun.
That is extraordinary. Okay, so shifting gears a little bit,
Yes.
the Kendall Home Gallery.
Kendall, I think, is one of my best works.
Okay, so listen, um, you have taken the art of animal prints to the next level.
I have. I definitely,
Whoa.
I definitely have. And you can see that trend in my work just growing and pushing a little further and further in each of the projects. I mean, there is not an animal print that I do not like.
But it's also the wallpaper. Okay, so but it's also we talked about through lines. It's
Yeah.
also the wallpaper, the
Mhm.
wall treatments,
Yes.
the graphics
Mhm.
that I get. They don't say it, but a lot of designers that I speak to, I think they're afraid of wallpaper. I think wallpaper is easy to be afraid of.
Oh, I think for so many people, clients especially are always like wallpaper. I'm like, no, please, just trust. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. But this particular home, you have a blend of, I mean, there are some spaces that are clean lines and a shade of white, off white, no
Hmm.
artwork.
Hmm. Or very minimal, one or the other. Hmm.
And but yeah, this is a dichotomy. This is a juxtaposition of that front main room with the black sofa. Is it
Hmm.
black or brown? I can't really tell.
In the front room, it should be,
With the tiger wallpaper.
oh, that's black.
Okay.
But it's an aged black leather, so there's a little bit of brown peeking through. So you're so good with your perception.
That's amazing. And it also looks like it is a theater room, TV room. It looks
It's the kids'
multifunctional.
hang space.
It's what?
It's the kids' hangout space. So they have four teenage children, two 18, and then the youngest is 14.
I really do love that. Tell me a little bit more about the project and sort of the origin of the concept.
Yeah, I would love that. So it's actually a funny story. So he was my client, single dad, two children. And again, let's just go back to me talking a lot. I had a girl on my team who was a single mom with two children. And I did his house, which was a single story at the time. And when I met him, I was like, oh, he's so charming. I love him. He's so sweet. I was like, I wish I knew someone to fix him up with. And then I was like, wait, Liz, you're available. And she was like, no, 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 no. And they both were dating other people at the time. And finally, on a Saturday, I was like, Liz, I need you to go to that house and measure his fireplace because we're redoing the fireplace. And she was like, okay, fine. She went begrudgingly. Well, I think that was in September. By January, they were a couple. And then by the next January, we were like, okay, now they're a family of four engaged and we need more space. So we redid the whole house, added a second floor, huge renovation, which the kids' hang spaces on the second floor. I moved all the children's rooms upstairs with their hang space, and then was able to take that whole first floor area where there were 5 bedrooms and made that a huge master suite, a guest space that could also double as Liz's office, enormous laundry room with a pool changing space, powder off of that, and then the staircase leading up. So it just, to me, it was like such a love project because I put them together and I love that they're together and they're such a great couple and their kids are wonderful. And they also just trust me to do, okay, do what you want. Liz loves spaceships. So the wallpaper that I chose for the laundry room has these tiny little spaceships in there.
Okay, hold the phone. Hold it. Stop. I'm going to stop you again
Okay.
because I need a minute.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Michelle,
Yes.
I have never seen a more extraordinary laundry room
Oh,
slash functional space
yes,
for a
right?
laundry room.
Right?
Seriously, never seen it.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
first
you.
thing I want to start with, I
Mhm.
don't want you to get ahead of me on this.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
I want to start with the floor. Is that a Walker Zanger tile?
It is a Walker's anchor tile.
I love that tile.
I'm obsessed with that tile.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so you have this geometric in the
Mhm.
floor.
Mhm.
Now, this Paradise Frontier wallpaper with
Yes.
space alien owls and birds of prey,
Yes.
cactuses, cacti, and spaceships.
Yes.
And if you hear me describing with the volcanoes and the clouds in a toxic, apocalyptic, stunningly gorgeous wallpaper.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Oh,
It's so fantastic. And that wallpaper is so Liz. Everything you just described is Liz. So we knew this was her
seriously,
space.
I love this.
And then the light fixture that looks like that alien, upside down alien jellyfish mushroom by Oli. I mean, it's so fantastic. And then because we did all those built-ins, that she has all this great storage, you open a built-in, there's a hanging rack that slides out. It's all compartmentalized. It's all hidden. But everything she needs is in there. There's an ironing board in one of those cabinets that, will come out. She can press, it goes away, clutter is gone.
And let's just be frank and honest for a moment.
Okay.
One of the things that I think is so exceptional about what designers like you do is it's about the experiential nature of the work. The laundry room has to be the most disliked, unappreciated space in the home because it's purely work. I mean, let's be honest, there's no fun and
100%.
games taking place in there.
So you have to make it fun because of that.
Yes, you do. And you did.
And I mean, even their back mudroom, I have that gorgeous Jean Paul Gaultier wallpaper that looks like old school tattoos. That you walk in and you're like, wait, what's on the wall? Like, wait, okay. But we try, I would say 90% of our laundry rooms, we will try and push our clients to do something fun and unexpected like that. We have many who will push back and say, no, no, just do a subway tile and a basic white cabinet and great, we're happy with that. We'll throw a crazy floor tile on then, something with pattern and color. But when you can create a space like that, it's phenomenal. I love that space.
Out of curiosity, was this a ground up?
This was.
Okay. Because I wanted to shift over to the bar and
Actually,
what I
I'm
was going
lying. I'm lying. Ground up a second floor only, renovation first floor.
Awesome. Okay. So I wanted to shift over to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it looks like at some point that bar, I mean, it could have been carved out, but it looks like it was probably a closet or something
It
else.
it was.
Yeah.
It was two closets.
Okay. So I absolutely love this wet bar. I think it is, and listen, not living there, one of the things that's kind of hard to do
Mm-hmm.
when looking at design work, you know, in the dimensional format that I have it on a computer screen, it's hard to try to figure out what goes in and where it's coming from. But I'm assuming that trying to piece things together, it's coming off a living space, maybe in closer proximity to the kitchen. But the bars, it's not overdone, which I think there's a temptation always to do, to put in more storage to showcase more bottles and glassware. I think there's always a temptation to do that. And you didn't do that here. It also has refrigeration, a ton of storage, a sink, a bar sink, and a tap, which you had me at the tap.
I agree. I was ready to put a tap in my own house after I did this one. And my husband, believe it or not, was like, no, we don't need the tap. It's like, you're crazy.
Of course, we need the tap.
I feel like we need the tap.
So there's a keg refrigerator under this.
It's actually a double tap. So there's a keg as well as a hard cider. So she drinks hard cider, he has beer. So they're both happy.
Now I want one.
I
Thanks,
know.
thanks,
And you should
Michelle.
have one. You're welcome. You should have one. I want one. I wanted to put one in my husband's gym. How great would that be? You work
That'd be
out,
great.
you sit on the sofa, you have a beer. Great day right there.
That'd be so great. Okay, last thing I want to showcase here. And by the way, I could stay in this house forever. I could talk about the banquette, which I'm a sucker for a banquette. So
I am too. I am too. The
I could
pivot door.
talk.
You like the pivot door?
What's that?
The pivot door, the 4-foot pivot door in the foyer.
Could
That's one.
talk about that. I could talk about the dragon wallpaper, which, by the
Oh,
way,
that's fun.
you know what's funny? When I saw that, I was like, make sure that you don't have small kids with crayons or markers because that's going to be colored in.
I love that.
At some point, that's going to get colored. I love that.
I love that.
But the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, because believe it or not, we've been going over an hour, and
Oh my goodness.
I could probably go another hour with you. You asked at the start, like when we were going to be done.
Right.
Michelle, we may never be done. I'm sorry, but
Well, thank you. I'll talk to you anytime. I love this.
You probably have to go. But the last thing I want to ask you about
Mhm.
is, because I don't see this very often, is your approach to treatment of the ceiling. So in this one room, you've got flooring. It looks like it's reclaimed.
Yes, I think you're in. Which room are you in? Is it the bedroom?
It looks like a living room.
Oh, the living room with my reclaimed wood. Yes, that's the den. So I don't know if you're noticing that reclaimed wood came from a barn in North Carolina on the ceiling. That's what I framed the bar around with. And then, so the way the house lays out, just to give you perspective, is there's the den. You go up the stairs to the clean kitchen. Then there's the living room that's all white with the bar in it, and the bar straddles the living room and the game room. And the game room, I wrapped that whole room walls with the same reclaimed barnwood, and then painted the ceiling black and just did all the black and white photos. That den in this house, I think, is one of my favorite spaces, with the barnwood on the ceiling, the blue sofa. I love that room. It's cozy. It's so enveloping when you're in the space.
And you sort of applied that same approach and technique to I don't know which bedroom this is, but it's got the pink rug and then the wallpapered ceiling.
Wallpaper ceiling. So I wanted to wrap the wallpaper. So it's the highlighted wall, which I feel like everyone does, just that one highlighted wall behind the bed. So I wanted to just take it an extra layer and do the textured wallpaper on the ceiling as well. It was a completely different pattern than that back wall, just to add, again, depth.
And the one thing that nobody's ever going to talk about, but I will, because I think it's amazing. And while you can't see it here, you have to kind of imagine, if you're looking at this bedroom, When it gets dark and the lighting is applied, I imagine that wallpaper on the ceiling adds kind of like this dreamy vibe that is so cool.
You are so right. It's and also the shadows they cast onto that dreamy vibe. It is such a cool element. I always try and look at my lighting shadows and how they're going to play within my designs when I love lighting. I love the shadows and how the shadows can lead and enhance a design. That's like my one of my favorite things. So I love that room as well.
And you know what? One of my favorite things happens to be this.
Oh, thank you.
This is amazing. Michelle, I cannot, and we're going long, but I just thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I absolutely love this chat.
Oh, thank you so much. I really loved it. I love chatting with you. I always love hearing what you have to say, so it means a lot.
Design Hardware's newly remodeled showroom is where you will find a gallery-style space with a thoughtful display of products, purposefully positioned to allow unbridled exploration and discovery. High-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware selections are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find your inspiration. Collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your shopping list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Michelle. Loved our chat and appreciate the time. Thank you to my incredible partner sponsors, Thermosol, Design Hardware, Pacific Sales, Monogram, and TimberTech. These are all fantastic partners with exceptional products and service to match. Listen, I have said this before and I'll say it again. I have personally vetted these companies and I believe in them, and I think you should too. Check the show notes for direct links. Thank you for checking them out and specifying them on your next project. I also want to thank you for listening to the show and sharing Convo by Design with your friends, coworkers, and colleagues who you think might enjoy it as well. Please also keep the guests and show suggestions coming. Love them. Convo by Design at Outlook.com and on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. Until next week, be well and take today first.